Creating music in Ableton Live 12 is easier than ever. It's almost completely automated, which can lead to tons of inspiration. This can be particularly valuable when it comes to the more trending genres like lo-fi and ambient that require more regular uploads to keep a consistent audience. Let me show you how you can achieve this in real time. So here I'm using my ambient template, which you've seen in my One Heart tutorial. There's a couple of minor changes, but you can grab this template over at the Patreon. It's Ableton stock devices through and through, but I've loaded it up as it will save some time in choosing the right sounds, dialing in settings for patches and routing instruments and chains. We're going to start off in the piano roll for my first instrument. So I've dialed in a random pattern, but I want these notes to be chords. So to do that, we're going to need our global scale. We're going to turn that option on and I'm going to choose C sharp Dorian. So right now, some of my notes fall outside of that scale. I'm going to select it all, come over to the left-hand side of the screen to which I can find fit to scale. When I select that option, boop, everything falls into that scale to which we can see that in the piano ruler at the side. But these notes still aren't in a chord sequence. So I'm going to come out of my MIDI clip, go into MIDI effects and choose chord. And now in an update to Live 12, we now have this use current scale option. And from here, I'm just going to dial in some random chords. Let's go 11 and 14. And because this is fit into scale, now we get this. How gorgeous is that? But we want to create a melody, and Ableton can do this for us as well. I got this little trick from Sidebrain, so shout out if you're watching this. Sometimes you can get a little tripped up with your melody. I know that I want my first note to start here and my last note to start here. So I have this currently. And the same goes here, starting here, ending here. But I want Ableton to draw in some more notes for me. So I'm going to select these notes and then come over to transform. With transform, I'm going to select connect. And with connect, I can choose how far apart my notes are going to play, how many connecting notes there are going to be between this space and this space, and at what rate they're going to play. You can imagine with 128, you're going to have a very thin, short note. And with a quarter note, it's going to take up that whole quarter note margin. And then you can split those notes into however many you want. I'm going to keep this at 8. Select everything and then just hit transform. And there we go. We have a selection of notes and I'm going to keep playing this until I've found something I like. I don't mind these three, but I just want to move this off a little bit and I want to change these notes here. So I'm going to just get rid of this, keep these selected and go again. That's kind of nice. All right, let's play everything together. Wonderful. So from there, you might want to generate a pad, and I have two techniques to show you here. In my ambient template, what I've set up is a resample track. If you just press Command T, you get an audio layer, and then you choose resampling to resample the things that are heard. I've got this already set up, and on this track, I have a hybrid reverb, an EQ8 to take out all the frequencies I don't want, and a line delay to set this sound a little bit wider in the sideband profile, and a limiter because things might get a little bit loud. The key tool here is the hybrid reverb. From here, you want to set your routing of the hybrid reverb to algorithm and algorithm to prism. It's going to turn off a lot of tools, but what we're going to use is the freeze in and freeze functions here to get this constant drone. So if we record in the elements above, this is what we'll get. Okay, so you can see why I have the limiter turned on, and this doesn't sound very tasteful right now, but the great thing about the hybrid reverb and these freeze functions being turned on is that you can switch through the vintage options to get different pitches of your sound. Check this out. So what I like to do is just dial in a sound that I like, and then use the EQ to get a nicer frequency and turn this way down in the mix. And let's bring in our other instruments. Ah, there's a nice frequency. So we get this constant drone of notes that we've already used inside Ableton. That's really lovely. That's one way that we can create a drone. Oh, by the way, I just released some new ambient music with the help of this template, which you can grab at the Patreon, and you can stream it on my Spotify or whatever streaming services you choose. And I did that with the help of DistroKid. And because of DistroKid, it's already generating plays. You see, DistroKid has a new feature called Playlister, which allows you to contact real people that curate playlists in your chosen genre. Here's my lo-fi focus playlist. Now with Playlister, you'll be able to see how many folks listen to that playlist and where you can find the individual to submit your track. So you can rest easier knowing that this isn't a paid botted playlist and you shouldn't have to risk getting your tracks removed. If you want to get 7% off your first year on DistroKid, then just use the link in the description below. If we really wanted to control our instrument, what we could do is choose two notes that are going to work with our chords. So I've got the C sharp here and then the B. And you might have already guessed this. What I can do is take those notes from my first drift instrument inside chord, which is linked to the scale, and also copy that over to my pad. And I'm going to keep that super, super low in the mix. Okay, so finally comes the bass. I've got a starting note for my bass, which is the E here, and then the C sharp, and I want to generate some bass notes. So first of all, what we're going to do is take these two notes and stretch them out the full bar. Then we're going to come down to generate, and this is going to be similar to what we did before, but instead of creating connecting notes, this is actually going to chop up these really long legato notes into steps and patterns. With this first note, I'm going to set my pitch to E2, and that means it's going to keep the rhythm on E2. And then from here, I can generate a pattern. Now I got extremely lucky here because I actually really enjoy that pattern straight off the rip. But if I wanted to create a different pattern, then all I would have to do is change my pattern and my density to find something else. I really like this. So what I'm going to do, instead of doing the same thing and generating a new pattern with C sharp 2, I would have to choose C sharp 2 with my pitch and then generate a new pattern. I'm just going to copy this pattern over to C sharp 2, and then we're all good. Now in my template, what I have is 3 different basses. One bass for the left, one bass for the right pan. You can see that they're EQ'd ever so slightly different and they have different drift settings. And then I have just a pure sub at the bottom here. So you just copy those up. But now I have pretty much a finished ambient kind of synth wavy loop. So there we have it, guys. I hope this was helpful in giving you some inspiration this week. Let me know your thoughts as well as what you want to see in future videos in the comments below. And thank you so much for swinging by. I'll catch you guys next time.